Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Elliot Dermond. Elliot, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm a subscriber of the show, so I'm really happy to be here and excited to chop it up with you, my man.
Sweet, Elliot. I appreciate your support, my man. And we'll just kickstart the conversation with who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
So right off the bat, I'm thinking Phil Heath for me. We don't see too many physiques with that bubbly muscle. His most muscular shot is definitely probably one of the craziest shots in bodybuilding. His best physique to me was 2011. Another great of all time is obviously the man behind you, Dorian Yates. I like him more for his training style than his physique and his mindset personally. And then if I had to go current, I'd go very basic. I'd go Nick Walker. We all love Nick. He's one of the freakiest guys that's stepping on stage right now, and we all aspire to be like him in a little way.
Awesome, dude. All right, so tell all of us, Elliot, at what age did you start lifting weights, and then why did you start lifting weights at that age?
Okay, so I started lifting weights very early. I was very fortunate. My parents got me a trainer at around 11 or 12 years old. And the reason behind that was football. I was about to, start high school at 15, and middle school football is not too serious, but I always wanted to be play college football. So I was kind of scholarship chasing. It was a push for my dad. And, I was a small kid, probably 5'4", 120 pounds, and I had to get in the gym. And by the time I started high school, I was probably 5'7", 160 pounds. So
excellent, man. So tell us, Elliot, just a little bit more about your upbringing. Talk about your parents, talk about siblings. Tell us where you grew up and just paint that picture. You already mentioned football. It sounds like that was a big part of your childhood and your upbringing, your younger years, but talk about football, talk about any other sports up to about high school, and then we'll move on from there.
Got it. So I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and moved almost immediately at about 1 year old. And my father and his father was into Wendy's. They're Wendy's franchisees. So a lot of restaurant business. I was, very well fed, very well taken care of. My dad had a great career, and I was very fortunate. I'm definitely not a guy that started from the bottom or anything like that. And I just had the best childhood. Me and my brother were very well taken care of. Both parents are together still, which is awesome. And I pretty much just, I did a little bit of Taekwondo, but I really never continued with that after red belt, and football was my life. Like, I was watching it, playing it, and up until high school, like that's all what I thought I wanted to do with my life.
So there's a couple things I want to pull from what you just said, Elliot, but let's focus on football for a second here, because you said when finishing up with middle school, going into high school, your parents got you a trainer to start lifting weights specifically for football. You mentioned kind of pursuing or chasing after that scholarship, and you mentioned that was kind of a push of your dad's. Why was that such a push from your dad? Was he just a football fan? Did he play college football? Talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, so my dad, he never got to play football at the next level, being college, and he really, he has expressed this to me before. He wanted to, he had dreams of making it to the league and in some form and playing college football. And so him and we bonded very much over watching football, him coming to my early Pop Warner games and stuff like that. And it kind of was like our thing. So jumping forward, when I quit football to bodybuild, he was devastated, but it was definitely what we bonded over. And so he definitely was anything I needed, he was right there behind me for it.
Tell us a little bit in terms of football, because I played a year of college football myself, and you know, I think overall football for especially young boys, young men can teach you so many life lessons, right? So is there like maybe one life lesson or one takeaway as you look back upon your football career that you're like, man, like I'm really glad that I played football because I probably wouldn't have learned this if I didn't experience football at a younger age?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if I didn't play football, I would be a completely different person. I was very privileged and, you know, had what I needed, and I needed to get hit in the mouth a little bit by kids bigger than me and be humbled a little. And I loved it. I loved the challenge every day of you know, suiting up and trying to be the best you, but it taught me a lot of family values as well. I was blessed to have a great coach, Coach Phil Tisa, still coaches today, and he basically became like family to us, and he made us a brotherhood, so it was great.
Awesome. So I want to touch on a couple more things before we move on from the younger years, but it's not too often, especially on this podcast, that I have someone that comes on and says, hey, like I grew up very privileged. I had, you know, an amazing upbringing, and, you know, all was good. And I can relate because I grew up in a upper middle class home and very successful parents and stuff like that, and had literally everything I could ever want. Right. I think there's some very positive things in that type of an upbringing. There can be, I don't want to call them negative, but maybe some things that, like you said, you played football, you need to get punched in the mouth, you know, there's pluses and minuses to everything. But from your perspective, Elliot, growing up in a successful home, you know, having literally everything that you want, what was that like for you? I mean, do you think that really helped mold you into the young man that you are today and set you in a positive direction? Or do you feel like maybe it held you back a little bit and you've had to learn some things over the years?
So yeah, you're right. I don't want to say anything negative, but I all through high school, I was not required to have a job or anything like that. And I do believe that part set me back, the being able to rely financially, especially on my parents, because then when, you know, they cut me loose for a year there, I was a little, you know, fish out of water. But I do believe it did do more good, just because I live such low stress. My mental health has never been a problem. I've always been very happy. And when it was time to sink or swim, after I no longer had their support, something inside me just was able to, you know, rise above and try to do what I love.
Excellent, man. Beautiful. All right. So why don't you touch on college a little bit? Now, you went to Florida State, or you're currently going to FSU. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I have my bachelor's from Florida State, and I'm currently in grad school at Florida State as well.
Cool. So talk to us about college. Now, you said you played 1 year of college football. So let's finish up football, talk about that, talk about the determining factor of why you decide to step away from college football, talk about your undergraduate degree, what you studied, why you decided to study that. And then let's talk about being a graduate student, because that's something that's very, very cool as well.
Yeah. So after high school, I played all 4 years at South Fulton High School. I was able to play, I get the opportunity to play at University of West Florida, which is in Pensacola, so not even too far from where I am. And it was a first-year program school. So they'd never played a season before. We were the class coming in that was supposed to really help, you know, mold, set the environment and the tone for years to come. And my high school teammate and best friend, we were dorm mates, and he was on the team too. And so we always were into training and stuff like that. We'd hit the gym extra after practice and things, but it got to the point where waking up at 4:30 in the morning, getting your homework done before weights, hitting the weights, coming back to the dorm, then getting ready for a full day of classes with another practice after, it honestly just it drove us into the ground. And so we both talked to our parents. We're like, hey, we really love this bodybuilding thing where you can sleep in and it's more food, not less. And I'm not and both our fathers were devastated. Me and my dad are great now, but it was a rough time. You're a college freshman, so you have a whole new workload. And then on top of that, my family like shunned me for a month or something. But that's how I got out of that. I never actually played in a game, so I was just more so practice. I was going to be a red shirt anyways.
So then you transferred to Florida State. So talk about why you chose Florida State to continue your college education. What did you study? Why did you study that? Just talk about your 4 years of undergraduate, kind of that entire college experience, if you don't mind, Elliot, please.
Yeah. So once I figured I was done at UWF, I always wanted to get into some type of law enforcement intelligence. So Florida State, as a few people might know, has the best law enforcement intelligence degree out there. They have lots of certifications you can get that no other school offers. So I majored in law enforcement intelligence, and I graduated with honors in just 3 years, actually, once I transferred. And yeah, it basically was just, I wanted to get a little farther from home. I wanted to, be on my own. And I also wanted the opportunity that the school presented.
So now you have to, I mean, obviously I know what law enforcement is, and most of us listening to this or watching this know what law enforcement is, but what specifically is law enforcement intelligence?
So what I want to do one day is work in the behavioral science aspect. So that falls under the law enforcement intelligence. It's basically pre-planning to prevent crime. So it wouldn't be a field agent type job. It would be more so, my dream scenario would be working for the Florida Bureau of Investigation, studying current inmates, looking at crime patterns, and basically trying to prevent crime and find out the why behind crime, as opposed to just stopping it in the moment. I feel like that it is the future and can be more beneficial to society.
Love that. Now, I mean, there's got to be a rhyme and reason in terms of why you decided to study that. So when did you kind of know that you wanted to study something like within law enforcement, and what kind of fascinates you about that? Like, how did you kind of get into that? Because that's, from my perspective, a kind of a unique pursuit in terms of education and career. So what spiked your interest in that, Elliot?
Yeah, so in 2014, when I was a sophomore in high school, my dad's parents, my grandparents, were actually murdered. And it is an unsolved crime. And something in me has just wanted to save families from the feeling that my family feels currently to this day, and hopefully bring some justice to others who, well, because obviously we can't have our own.
Wow, man. Yeah, no, that's definitely definitely, an awesome pursuit from your end. Now, you're currently a graduate student at FSU, like you just mentioned. What are you studying now? Just touch on that for a minute.
Yeah, so same major, just the law enforcement intelligence. This is much more in depth though. I'm actually certified in a few software programs now that I'm able to get right out of the way. And a lot of firms look at that as the experience needed to get hired. So it's really nice. And it's surprisingly not even a bigger workload. You just have to know everything and then pretty much just get it done on site. But it's a lot less typing than my 4-year degree. So I'm happy about that.
No, for sure. Now, before we kind of get into all the bodybuilding talk, let's finish up with the career talk. Now, once you graduate with your graduate degree, complete that, like, are you, along with bodybuilding, wanting to kind of like pursue this career, or is it kind of up in the air? Like, hey, if you become an IFBB Pro at some point and you can make a great living from bodybuilding, is that kind of what you're focused on? Talk about that, kind of that dichotomy between a full-time bodybuilder, quote unquote, having a full-time career. Like, what is your mindset right now between those two?
Yeah, it is. That's something I think about every day. It's most definitely up in the air. I also believe if I do find a career, I'd be very determined to bodybuild alongside that as well. Like I said, I wouldn't be in the field at all. And so if I can, get out of the office at a good time and continue my career, I would definitely do that. But my dream has just always been to be, a pro bodybuilder, and make a living doing that, honestly, as opposed to what I'm in school for, which, sounds crazy. It's like, why are you going so far in school? But I look at it as two options, and I believe in God's plan, and that something will show its head, and I'll take the right path.
Very, very cool, man. And very honorable, very respectable, because bodybuilding is a career that doesn't last forever, right? And to have that backup plan or to have options in life, I think is very smart. So okay, so let's start getting into the bodybuilding talk. You're only 23 years old, so you're so young, man. We don't have like a full portfolio or resume to talk about, but let's go back. So once you started training with that trainer, between 11, 12 years old for football specifically, once you kind of like got initiated in terms of weight training and kind of learned the ropes of the gym, was it something that you just really thoroughly enjoyed right away? Or did it take you some time to kind of like, hey, okay, I kind of like this weightlifting thing? How was it for you in the absolute beginning?
Yeah, I remember this, and it's so funny to me still. I got on the preacher curl machine. I did a few sets, and I looked at what my arms looked like with a pump, and I was hooked. It really didn't take long to be slowly turn from a football obsession to a bodybuilding one.
Makes sense. So let's so then you step away from football your freshman year in college. Did you just kind of immediately dive into all things bodybuilding, like as soon as you were done with college football? If so, talk to us about that. Like, how did you kind of gain more knowledge in terms of training? Was it through YouTube? Was it probably not magazines, you're so young, but was it through YouTube? Like, talk about some of those early influences about your training style, kind of some of that stuff, please, Elliot.
Yeah. So once I quit football, I immediately had about 8 more hours of my day. And so I started working at GNC, like a lot of guys do. And through GNC, I was able to meet a local coach named John B. All my local friends know him. He's great. I have nothing but good things to say about him. And I was a teenager, I was 18 years old. And so he was very careful to keep me away from the bad people in the industry and show me the good ones, and really taught me how to train, how to pose, how to eat, and the work it took. Because I felt like I had a little bit of a void in my life from that football being gone, and the work was immediately replaced with bodybuilding.
So that you're very fortunate, man. You had a personal trainer kind of right away to teach you how to lift weights, and then sounds like you had an awesome first coach and mentor. So in terms of John, what was that training style that he kind of implemented with you, or what was some of the additions to your training that he added? Talk about that. And then, is that training that John kind of taught you or helped you with, is that the way you still train? I want you just to touch on a little bit of your training with John, and then how is it currently?
Yeah, John, I still use all his methods today. He is a high intensity, high volume, high frequency guy. Just if you can recover, then you can train. So it's 6 days a week of training, weak body parts twice a week, strong ones once. And then you basically assess your physique as you make progress, and you eat to fuel training. He believes that in off season and prep, and as do I. Use it with my clients. Your carbs should reflect your training, especially in prep. You have to perform to retain and build muscle.
Excellent. So let's talk about, your first competition. How did that go? What was that experience like? And then just talk about, again, I know you're young, probably haven't competed a ton, but just talk about that first show, and then just talk about the shows that you have competed at. And then let's then talk about what your goal is going forward for your next competition.
Sure. So my first show, I used John, and we won the open middleweights, the teen class, and novice, I believe middleweights. It was a Max Fit Classic. I want to say 2016 or 17. That's a big local show, and I actually talked to the promoter, and it's becoming a pro show, a pro-am. So a lot of people are going to know about the Max Fit pretty soon. And I immediately just went into the off season. I went home to for summer from college, and it was grow time. Not the summer shreds, it was time to grow. And I made the mistake of talking to a local IFBB Pro, and we basically, I dropped John, hooked up with this guy. We were going to do teen nationals. So I went right from that prep to teen nationals, and he dropped me about 4 weeks out of teen nationals. Just communication issues, nothing I'll get into. And I basically showed up just totally out of shape, just terrible. It's hilarious. I don't mind if anyone looks up the pictures because it's really funny. And basically I was like, I met a lot of great people I still talk to today, but definitely didn't belong on even the teen national stage. So I took a year off from bodybuilding, and I came back at 20 years old, and I started competing locally. I did 2 shows that year. I did the Riptide Classic, and I did the NPC Muscle for Heart, which actually draws a lot of national competition. They're both national qualifiers, and I would always win the super heavy class, but I was always very close to the overall and never won. And then the following year, I have done the Panhandle Showdown, the Muscle for Heart, and I've done the Rock Hard Muscle Classic. So I was basically in contact with Sergio Oliva Jr, and he grew up exactly where I did. So he's done all these shows, and he's telling me about them, and it's so cool. And he worked at the GNC I worked at and everything like that. And I get to do these shows, and I'm actually winning the overalls now. So the goal was to do nationals this year, as a lot of people know. And I hired a great coach, Dom Cardone, very well known in the industry, nothing but amazing things to say. And I ended up getting COVID 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, and I was dealing with a sinus infection. So I was already on antibiotics, and it really ruined my physique, and it wouldn't have been healthy for me to continue. And if I'm not coming in at 100%, honestly, I just I wouldn't allow myself to step on stage, not at my best, and he wouldn't either. And so now the current plan is to win the USAs in 2022 this year.
Awesome, dude. Okay, so let's go back then. After you competed in your first show, Elliot, did you know, immediately like, okay, this is, I love this. I'm going in with this. This is bodybuilding is my thing. Did you like know right away after that first competition that you were going to just continue to move forward?
I did. It just clicked, man. Everyone was so kind. It was just like a football family, but with strangers. Everyone was just giving each other compliments, hyping each other up. A lot of local competitors know what that camaraderie feels like. And just the way the crowd kind of was like, you're like, whoa, he's how old? Or, at that size, not to toot my own horn, but it was very, very inspiring, especially at that very impressionable age.
Cool. So let's talk about Dom. He's actually been a guest on the podcast. Super cool dude. And how did you kind of come to the conclusion that you were going to hire him? And what has it been like so far? I know you guys haven't been working together for an extended period of time, but so far, what has it been like working with him? And what has he kind of brought to the table? Maybe that's a little bit different from maybe previous coaches or previous experiences that you had.
Yeah, so a lot of people know I was working with trainer Brennan Atkins, for about 8 of my 20 weeks of nationals prep. And we were not seeing eye to eye on many aspects of prep. And I basically sat down and I'm like, okay, who has won what I'm trying to win? Who has a resume? Who has a track record? And who has a reputation? And all signs pointed to Dom. So one thing different is, first of all, like if anyone has a problem with getting feedback from their coach, this guy responds in 30 seconds. He probably always has his phone on him. I'm probably going to piss him off by saying that because someone will be texting him all day now. But his knowledge is so immense that it is so stress relieving to sit down, look at my email, and be like, okay, this is a plan to win. If I follow this plan, we win, and that's it. That's all I have to do. It makes my job extremely easy. He's worth, everything to me.
Cool. So why did you guys kind of determine that you were going to compete in USA's and not another show? Is there some sentimental value to that, or is it just the first show that you decide you're going to do? Talk about that just for a minute.
Yeah. I grew up watching him and Cody Montgomery battle it out at Teen Nationals. He was kind of like, the generation I look up to. And when Cody Montgomery won Mr. USA, and I saw he got the cool Kobe's that said Mr. USA, I was like, I was 14. I was like, that. So I've always wanted, Mr. USA is just such a cool title. Legends have won it, Derek Lunsford, etc. So it honestly makes sense. And Dom also lives in Las Vegas, so it would work out very well for the both of us.
Makes a lot of sense. So talk to me about Sergio Oliva Jr. You said you have a little bit of a relationship with him. You keep in contact with him. Has there been any words of wisdom or any like advice that maybe he's given you in terms of bodybuilding that when I ask you that, something kind of like pops up in your head right away? Like what has he kind of given you in terms of insights, Elliot?
Yeah, so Sergio has been just absolutely essential in my success. He was when he opened his company, Cosmic Industries, I was one of the first athletes brought on, and that was my first sponsorship. So he really, picked me up and put me in the bodybuilding game and helped me out a lot. Yeah, we have a great relationship. I can text him whenever. He's a very knowledgeable guy. But the confidence he instills in me is bigger than anything I can say. He is a quote from him. Like when I would send him check-in pictures, progress pictures and everything, he would just send a quick game over text or something very reassuring. When you're dieted down, you feel skinny, you're unsure about yourself, he just really was that light there. And to have an Olympia even look at you is pretty cool. So that was all the motivation I needed.
Awesome, dude. Okay. So you mentioned just a minute ago something about your own clients in terms of coaching. So when did you start coaching? And talk to me a little bit about what you enjoy about coaching. Do you coach, just lifestyle people? Do you coach athletes? Talk to us a little bit about that. So when did you get into coaching? What do you enjoy about it? What type of people, what type of clients do you have?
Yes. So I got into coaching in 2019, and it was after doing a lot of research on my own, finding out what, works for the body, what doesn't, and basically just coaching people for free. So I was just trying to get a resume built up. I don't believe you should charge someone unless you can, just be like, here's what I've done for them. Let's work something out. And so basically, I do not market my coaching as much as other guys do, because I do like to keep about 10, 15 clients on full time, and all of them are competitors currently. So that's the most high maintenance client. But I do accept the lifestyle client. I accept the prep client. I just don't accept women right now. Nothing, there's no crazy reason behind that. It's just because I'm most comfortable coaching males, and I'm most confident in my knowledge with males, especially bodybuilders.
That's cool, man. I've never heard anybody say that before, and that's respectable, because I think in terms of coaching, in terms of personal training, I think there's a lot of people out there that'll take anybody and anything just because they want the money, right? But for somebody to say, hey, like, this is what I feel comfortable with, this is what this is kind of where my knowledge and expertise is at with this type of a person. Respect, man. I think that's cool. Now, what is it about, because you said, the competitors kind of high maintenance, right? What is it about, like, as a bodybuilder, coaching bodybuilders, like, do you feel like because you compete yourself, that kind of gives you an advantage as a coach? Do you think that's something when you're looking for a coach or what have you, or maybe a younger listener or somebody that's just getting into bodybuilding, do you think that if they're going to be looking for a coach, they should be looking for somebody that's done it? What's your perspective on that, Elliot?
Yeah, so like I said, one of the reasons I chose Dom is because he's won what I was trying to win at the time, and he is a proven bodybuilder himself. So I think the perspective of hiring a bodybuilder as a coach, whether past or present, is you get what that bodybuilder wants out of a coach themselves. So I treat my clients the same way I want my coach to treat me, which is respectful, truthful, tell them what's up, and also attentive. I honestly, I text them all day long. I have 24/7 contact with all my guys, especially in prep. And I think it just adds that aspect of treat your clients the way you would want to be treated, and everything should be smooth from there.
Excellent. So somebody that is looking for a coach, right? Especially a younger person, because you're very young and you were at that teenage years, and you were looking for a coach, or a coach kind of came into your life, however you want to word that. But if somebody's actually looking for a coach, again, kind of the younger people out there, what do you encourage them to look for? What would you encourage them to look for in terms of a coach that they want to hire, specifically getting into bodybuilding and competing?
Yeah, so I definitely do have a lot of younger followers, and guys message me, so I want to help them out any way I can, just because I feel like I was so blessed. We obviously do not have the most money in the world for the biggest names in the industry, and that's totally fine. You can get it done and achieve your goals without, the sexy name. So basically, what you want to look at is, you can even start locally if you'd like, because I found an in-person trainer to be the most effective for me, and it built a relationship much quicker than over texting, and that is the resume and the reputation. So for younger guys, I really don't suggest going with a newer coach. Like, someone first time who maybe has never worked with teenagers or early 20 competitors, especially just with everything that goes into the sport. You don't want to mess yourself up in any way, and you want someone that has great respect from the community and great respect and a great reputation as well.
Excellent. You're very well spoken, Elliot. I love it, man. You get to the
Thank
point.
you.
You say it very, very well, and it's very good. So let's so you just said that you have a lot of young followers, right? Probably because you're young, you're an up and comer, and God willing, a future IFBB Pro. What are some of the generally speaking, what are some of those messages that you get from your younger followers, like asking you about or seeking your wisdom or advice on? What are kind of like the number 1 or 2 questions that you get from your followers, from those younger followers? Share that, and then just maybe expound a little bit on what those are. Okay.
Sure. So the first question I always get is, it's got to be, how long do you think it'll take to get to where you're at? And that usually comes from a 16 or 17-year-old guy. And I always try to tell them, it's not about trying to be like anybody else. It's trying to be the best you. And I also try to get them to realize that they are in some of the best years of their life. I don't know them personally, but most likely those years are, very stress-free. And I say, hey, bodybuilding will always be there. Treat yourself like a long off season. Stack your money, build some muscle, build a great frame, go to college if you can, or if you want to. It's not essential, but and I just try to reiterate, like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I just got very lucky, and I was able to build a certain amount of physique at my age, and not everyone can do that, and that's okay. Just be the best you, and don't worry about me. And then the next question I have to get is always what are you running, bro question. Very, very common, and that comes from a 16 or 17-year-old. And then I try to I give them the health talk in bodybuilding, if you know what I mean. You don't want to mess yourself up at a young age.
So I don't want to go too deep into anabolic talk or anything like that. There's other podcasts that do that, but just generally speaking, right? I do want you to kind of give us that health talk. I want you to just to touch on like that decision. There's at some point, if you're going to choose to use anabolics, if you choose to go the enhanced route, like that's a life-changing decision. I've had other athletes on here, IFBB pros, top NPC athletes, share that with me. And I've had some of them. I know one of the guys, classic physique IFBB pro, just recently retired. And he had some pretty strong words in terms of like, hey, like, I did way too much at a young age. And I just know that people in your shoes have such a powerful platform to speak into the younger generation's lives. And I really think that we need more of you guys sharing that message of like, hey, this is a life-altering, life-changing decision. So just generally speaking, in terms of anabolics and, making that decision, what is your advice? What is that health talk you would give the younger listeners?
Yeah, that's very good points. I do believe more people should be in it for the long term and for health reasons, and not just a quick success. Sadly, I think Instagram kind of makes everyone look like a overnight success, and a lot of kids feel a lot of pressure to take things that are going to speed up their success in their mind. Basically, I try to be very clear with them that they have one body, and I started taking anabolics at 18 years old, and I regret it. I had terrible acne. I was very angry, and my body was at its peak hormone puberty, and I don't know what my natural end would have been like. Now, there are pros because I was able to build a physique earlier, but like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, and I want kids, especially, they're so young, like 16, 17, I want them to realize that you honestly haven't earned thinking about that yet. Let's spend some few years in the gym to see if you even love training. Let's see, I mean, because obviously that's an expense as well, on top of an already expensive sport. I mean, are you gonna be doing this in 5 years? Do you think you can make any money off this? If you have any question about that, I wouldn't start, because it can very quickly become a lifetime thing. You might seriously damage your health, and then you also might not get your natural hormones back, and then you're on something for life, and no one wants that, and that's also comes with its dangers as well.
Cool. All right, Elliot. Thank you for touching on that. Now, I want to talk about mindset for a few minutes. That's something that we know as bodybuilders that compete in this sport. Mindset is everything. Mindset is everything in life. That's what I believe. So, in terms of mindset, in terms of where you will allow your mind to go, talk about from just the day to day, even like whether it's in prep, out of prep. I mean, just being a 23-year-old that's, in college studying to get a master's degree. Where is your mindset every day? Is there a quote? Is there a mantra? Is there a focus that you have every day? Talk about that for a couple minutes, Elliot, please.
Yeah. I'm completely in agreement with you that mindset is everything. You have to have a good head on your shoulders if you look to succeed in just about anything. But I do have quite a big workload on my plate I wake up to every day, and I welcome it. So CT Fletcher said something that really has always stuck with me. He basically lists out all these things, negative, and then he's like, and why are you scared? And if you really sit down and think about it, so let's say I have legs and I know I have to type a 1,500 word paper right afterwards. I'll be sitting on the couch earlier, and I've ruined my own day just thinking about it. But in reality, it's like, why am I scared? Like, what is the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to be tired. Like, that's it. Honestly, I'll just be tired and maybe a little sore. That's all it is. And then another thing is, Seth Rossi said this. He said, you don't have problems, you just have more work to do. So a lot of us, myself included, have lost people to cancer, lost people through other things, car accidents. Those are problems. Like, those are things that, are out of your control. So me sitting back and complaining that I am blessed enough to be in a great university and compete at the sport at the highest level, that's ridiculous to me. I see it all as a blessing and a choice. If I wanted to do something else, I could do it the very next day. I'm in this and I'm choosing to be in it. So why complain?
Excellent, dude. Okay, so let's touch on let's touch on I want to ask you in regards to you just mentioned Seth Feroce, you mentioned Sergio Oliva Jr. You've mentioned some other guys, Nick Walker. Is there a go-to YouTube channel, whether like a bodybuilder or maybe more of a fitness type influencer? Is there kind of like a go-to YouTube channel that you kind of binge watch or you really enjoy the content? If there's more than one, share them for us.
Yeah, sure. I am big on Nick Walker's YouTube. He's really stepped up his YouTube game, as a lot of people know. It's honestly not like I'm not learning anything from it. He's just one of the craziest guys I've ever seen. So I kind of just sit back and awe for about 15 minutes. More, and then when I look for something more educational or something like that, I like Chris Bumstead's videos. I like Ian Valier's videos. And there's a YouTube channel with 700 subscribers called the OGB, which is Ross Flanagan's YouTube. where he has some really great training philosophies, clips and stuff. They're older videos, but I do enjoy watching it. And I like that so many national level competitors have gotten into the YouTube game. Nate Spear, I really like what he's putting out right now. Justin Shear, hope I said that right. I really like what he's been putting out with Hostel and stuff like that. You know, because you see the pros everywhere, so it's nice to see some up and comers. And then, of course, you know, your channel as well provides an awesome insight into these people. Every time I finish a podcast, I'm like, oh, well, I feel like I know that person, as opposed to just, you know, seeing them do 4 sets of curls. So, you know, I enjoy yours as well.
Cool. I appreciate that, Elliot.
Yeah.
So let's talk to me a little bit about recovery in terms of like massage therapy, chiropractic work, maybe some other stuff that you've done or you do. What does that look like for you in prep? And what does that look like for you during an off season?
Great. Yeah. So it is the exact same, actually. I am very blessed. Mike Blackbeard is my chiropractor. If you know him from Instagram, he missed his pro card by 1 spot last year at Junior Nationals. He's classic physique, and he hooks me up. I get a great discount, and he really takes pride in his business of Destin Chiropractic. And I do that once a week, and then sometimes Life, and once every other week. If it's in prep, it's every week, no matter what. Life does not matter outside of prep. And then I have a great massage therapist named Dina. She is amazing. She has been my massage therapist for the last 4 years, and she even comes to my home, and, you know, I compensate her very well. We have a great relationship, and I really think that deep tissue work in prep is so essential. It's so easy to get overworked and things to just get clogged, and putting that blood and that nutrients in there really has paid off for me. So I do that once a week, year round, religiously.
Cool. Nutrition wise, obviously you're eating a lot of food, but what are some of those foods? Because, you know, I'm sure you've watched the videos of C-Bum just sitting there and eating, right? And I used to watch like Jay Cutler just sit there and eat, and Ronnie Coleman back in the day. But in terms of like some of the specific foods, because it always fascinates me, because foods that work well for you might be different for me, right? The foods that work well for Nick Walker, digestion, going to be different maybe than you and I. But so kind of like give us some of the numbers in terms of maybe some of your off-season eating, Elliot. And then what are some of those foods? You don't have to tell us every single one, but, you know, is it cream of rice? Is it just regular rice? Give us some of those specific foods that, generally speaking, sit well with your stomach and that you stick to, whether it's, in prep or off season.
Sure. So I eat the same year round, and Dom has reflected this in his plan. His diets are delicious. So my breakfast every morning is a different amount, whether prep or off season, of flank steak, whole eggs, cream of rice, and a fruit. So currently I get 150 grams of carbs from cream of rice, 4 ounces flank, 3 whole eggs, a serving of fruit. But basically the meals that digest absolutely best with me are so boring. It's just chicken and rice, chicken and sweet potato, 99 1-ground turkey I love to throw in there for different texture. You can make that some taco seasoning, make that real yummy. And then, so yeah, protein sources got to be whole eggs, flank steak, chicken, turkey. I'm not a big egg white guy. I used to drink them a lot earlier in my career, and that was such a mistake, obviously. And my body doesn't digest them cooked or uncooked, unfortunately. And then carbs are almost all rice, cream of rice, Calrose rice or jasmine rice, and then sweet potato gets thrown in there as well. Fats, the whole egg, and peanut butter and avocado. Fats are never too high for me, honestly. I grow more off high protein, high carbs. Fats are mostly to just slow my digestion down. I have a meal with MCT oil. So yeah, pretty the basic bodybuilder stuff, honestly.
And is it generally speaking, like off season, 6-7 meals spread throughout the day then?
Yes. So currently off season doing 7 meals. One of them's a shake, which is post workout. So it's kind of a meal, you know. Yeah, I eat about every 2 hours. Sometimes 2.5 hours if things happen, but I really don't leave my house without 2 meals prepared. You just never know. And eating is just everything. That used to be the part I slacked on, and since closing the gap with those meals, I really feel has improved my physique a lot.
Perfect. So in terms of supplements, like not the anabolic side of things, but, you know, like maybe like a fiber supplement or omega-3s or, you know, supplements like that. Are there some staples within your diet every single day that you have in terms of those type of supplements?
Absolutely. And it looks like a grocery list. Dom is very big on health. I've never taken this many pills in my life. Anything you name, I bet I'm taking. The fish oils are AM and PM, vitamin D, K, vitamin E, Liver Plus by Project AD, Heart Plus, TUDCA. Just yeah, most things. If anyone has any questions, I'm always open to answering and sending them what I do take and what it does. I take astragalus for kidney health. Yeah, we really have everything pretty much under control, and then red yeast rice as well for heart health. That's all I can name off the top of my head.
Perfect. So we kind of talked about training a little bit earlier, but specifically right now in the off season, and this is kind of always fun for people to hear, you know, somebody at your level, what their training split is. So just tell us quickly, Elliot, like what is your current training split? What are some of those body parts that you're really trying to focus on going into the USAs in 2022? And then just talk a little bit about kind of like that volume that you have throughout the week with your training.
Yeah, so we're hitting back twice a week and hamstrings twice a week. I recognize that my backside, while I don't think is weak, could definitely be better. And, you know, shows are one from the back. That's most definitely true. Last year's USA winner, my Condemned Labs teammate, Jordan Hutchinson, he clearly won from his back shots did it for him. Really awesome and inspirational. So Monday, I'll start my week off with chest and triceps. Tuesday, I'll do back and hamstrings. Wednesday, I'll do delts and biceps. Thursday is a full leg day, mostly quads. Friday is back again. And then Saturday, it's kind of, if I need to take Saturday and Sunday off, I'll do that. Or I can do active recovery, like a upper body, arm, chest kind of day. Just depends on how we're recovering. So being currently off all, you know, super supplements, my recovery surprisingly been good. I attribute that 100% to the nutrition. So I'm still able to train 6 days a week. And I try to make sure every body part gets 2 to 3 sleeps in between. That really leads to great recovery. And my workouts are probably about 16 to 20 sets in total. I like to be at the gym for an hour weight training, and I do 20 minutes of Stairmaster after every session except legs. So I'm probably in the gym 90 minutes, a little bit of socializing, 85 minutes.
Perfect. So in terms of like mind to muscle connection and actually, you know, when you actually get into a movement, right, is that mind to muscle connection and just kind of like very Nick Walker-esque, if I may say that, but like, you know, just very mind to muscle connection, slow and control the reps, you know, trying to move as much weight obviously as possible. Is that kind of your philosophy, or are you more of like a logbook kind of guy and you're just always trying to break kind of what you did last week? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah. So when people train with me, they're a little disappointed. I'm not very strong, or at least I don't try to be anymore. I curl the 30s to 35s, and it, you know, concentration curls. And if the burn is there, the stimulus is there, I'm very happy. On incline bench, I'll probably won't go heavier than 315. I make sure that, you know, the joints are good and everything, and I'm really feeling that muscle drive, contract, stretch, repeat. So definitely that Nick Walker type, although, you know, he still uses crazy heavy weights. Although they're light for him, I'm still working to that level currently.
All right. So what do you feel like up to this point? Again, you're 23, you have a lot of, God willing, life ahead of you, bodybuilding ahead of you. But up to this point, what do you feel like bodybuilding has taught you, just overall in terms of life, in terms of, you know, just being a man and navigating this experience that we do call life?
Yeah. I would have to go with just no one cares, work harder. And that the winning is really done behind the scenes, whether that be someone's business they're working towards, someone's you know, goals, or bodybuilding and prep. Like when I'm in 4 weeks out and I'm just on the couch, just, and you don't feel like you can get up to do that cardio session, it's really easy to just stay there. But I like to really think about, no one cares, work harder. This is a choice and a blessing. And I like to think you can look at life like that too. You can easily be a loser, or you can go out and, you know, make something of yourself and really put that work in. And no one sees that work, but no one also cares about complaining either.
For sure. So talk to us. We're going to wrap up our conversation here in a minute, Elliot. Talk to us about Condemn Labs. I know that is a sponsor of yours. So how did that sponsorship come about? And then just maybe speak about what they've brought to the table for you.
Sure, yeah. So I was with Cosmic Industries, and sadly, like Sergio posted about, they had to dissolve, just simply financial, no hard feelings whatsoever. And I was, like I seem to have been saying a lot, just absolutely blessed. Condemned Labs messaged me the very next day that I was dropped from them, and has been nothing but amazing. They've treated me absolutely like family. You look at the great athletes we have, like Dusty Hanshaw, Justin Rodriguez, Jordan Hutchinson, etc. That's quite the team to be a part of. That's a lot to work towards. We're hoping we can repeat Mr. USA's back to back. That would be really cool. But basically, they're products for bodybuilders and bodybuilders alone. And I really like that. The DNA Dispatch pump product is none other. There's nothing else like it on the market. They have just really great flavors of everything, really good quality ingredients, and it's stuff I'm using on my plan, coaching plan already. So I couldn't be happier. And they really are treating me great. And if anyone wants to support me or Condemned Labs, my code is Elliot10, and that will hook you up.
Cool, cool. So kind of the last question here, Elliot, before I give you the platform to kind of wrap things up for us. What is something about bodybuilding specifically, kind of when you started, you know, really getting into bodybuilding, 17, 18, whatever it was, right around that age? What is it about bodybuilding that you wish at that age you would have known that you kind of know now?
Yeah. Basically what I tell the kids that age that message me, that it is a marathon, not a sprint. The stage will always be there. For some reason, I felt a rush, you know, that the timing, I felt like if I'm not the next Cody Montgomery, Dom Cardone, Dallas McCarver, then I'm not going to make it in the sport. And that is absolutely not true. You see new superstars show up every day. Justin Shear is he's going to be 35, I believe, and he's he's a talk of the town. Carlos Thomas is in his 30s, just winning nationals, and these guys' careers are just getting started. And I was very short-sighted, and just felt like I needed to rush things. And while I was lucky and nothing bad happened to me, it won't be the same for everyone. And so just take your health into account and don't stress yourself out about the gym and tanning and stuff like that, and be there for your family while you can.
Wise words, man. All right, so Elliot, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on to the podcast, man, sharing your story, sharing some of your wisdom and insights. I'm very thankful for your time. This was actually the second time we tried it. We had some technical issues last time. I actually had somebody, one of the followers on Instagram, sent me a DM. He's like, "Hey, where's Elliot's episode?" I said, "Hey, we had some technical difficulties. This was last week," and I said, "We're gonna try to get our conversation in on Thursday." So I know my followers on Instagram and on the YouTube channel are looking forward to hearing your story and having this conversation to watch and listen to. So thank you. Before I end things here, Elliot, if you do have any final words or any final thoughts that you want to leave with myself and the listeners, go for it. Any other sponsors, any type of shout outs, the platform is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Truly a pleasure and a blessing. This is really cool. Like I said, because I've been watching the channel for so long, so I appreciate you having me. Yeah, sponsors are Condemned Labs, code Elliot 10, and then Flavor Gang. Everyone has been seeing the sauces and cream of rice products go around. Code is just Elliot. It's all on my Instagram bio. You guys can all find that. But yeah, things have been tough, I think, objectively for a lot of people. So if we can, everyone go into the new year, try to make someone's day a little better, being a little more positive, and taking the time to maybe just listen to someone, and get a new perspective on things. I think that small steps like that could benefit everyone as a whole.
Beautiful, man. All right, Elliot, I appreciate your time. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All of you who are tuning in to another episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you to you. If it wasn't for you, the podcast wouldn't exist. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy lives, your busy schedules to watch or listen to Behind the Muscle and support these awesome coaches, awesome athletes that are coming on, taking time out of their busy lives and schedules to share with all of us their stories. Just quickly, as we close out today's conversation with Elliot, if you haven't done so already, make sure you please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's really important because I release all of these episodes of Behind the Muscle podcast first on YouTube, and then I will distribute them to the other podcast platforms. So if you want to stay up on all the current episodes, make sure you are subscribed to Behind the Muscle podcast on YouTube. And then the last favor I ask of all of you is that please take this episode of Elliot specifically and share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Elliot, tag Behind the Muscle, so that we know that you listened to this episode specifically and found great value in it. And then also, if you haven't gone on Instagram and followed or aren't currently following Elliot, why don't you go to his Instagram, give him a follow. His Instagram, along with Behind the Muscle podcast Instagram link, will be in the show notes of this episode. So you can go down there and make sure you go follow Elliot. And finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.